Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another show. And obviously, I got to turn this beautiful thing off. Now we are official. Welcome back to another show of Embolden, the pop culture show where we talk about controversial issues in comics and pop culture. And I figured today, since it sort of happened last week, but I was doing something else, that we should talk about that 90s show and Velma. Very controversial, a lot of things going on with that show. People either love the 90s show, people hate the 90s. Apparently, everybody's upset about Velma. I have my own opinions about that, and we're going to dive into all that with a good friend of mine, Keenan, who does a lot of cool stuff on TikTok. He has his own show. And so, obviously, I'm going to give you a chance to promote yourself before we dive and get us both canceled.
Well, we're not gonna get canceled. I hope you play into this. Just tell me a couple of your quick thoughts on Velma, real quick.
I personally
It
thought
doesn't matter what you think. I was literally waiting when you said that shit. I was literally waiting there the whole fucking time, man. I was like, oh, I wonder if I can give him a bite on this stupid shit. And of course, I'm just watching the Young Rock show, so I was like, yeah, I gotta throw this out of Chad Frost over here and shit. No, I'm joking, man.
he's going to be number 30 tomorrow night. Let's just leave it at that. For those who don't know, the Royal Rumble is coming tomorrow night on Peacock. They are not a sponsor, but I will not be available from 8 o'clock onward tomorrow night. I'm just letting everybody know that I'm super stoked, and he's going to be number 30 or number 1, depending on which way you want to put it. It can only go one of two ways. He's not going to be number 28. But anyway, before
I digress.
I want a chance for people to know where they could find you, bother you, hit you up, all that stuff before we
I'm on YouTube under Bob's Product. I'm on TikTok under 90's TGIF. Thank God it's funny. You know, none of my shit is streamlined. So if you want to find me, you got to look for me hard. And if you see a picture like your grandfather coming across your YouTube screen, that's probably going to be me. Like I post a lot of my stuff like somebody get your granddad. Or that's a lot of comments I get. Somebody lost their granddad. And thanks, guys. Or, you know, when I wear the red hat, they go like, damn, Fred Durst got old. Man, y'all are assholes.
So obviously, if you want to find Keenan, it's not that hard to find Keenan. If you just go onto my page, you'll find Keenan pretty quickly. But I do want to talk about that 90s show and Velma. Obviously, I sort of prefaced this entire thing where I've noticed a lot of hate on both of these shows. And I think that 90s show is not as justified as Velma. And so I definitely want to tackle that 90s show where I thought it was a good show. I thought it was entertaining. I didn't think it was as good as that 70s show, but I do think it is brilliant for Netflix as a business. I think that it is well done. I think it is a fun watch. I could easily get another 2 seasons out of it, and I don't think it would do any damage to that 70s show. Velma, on the other hand, I think is a complete disaster. I think that it is very... They made Velma a different color. They made Shaggy something. They made him not into weed, per se. And everybody is sort of, I guess, stereotype boxed. And I guess, you know, that to me is almost going too far. But I think it is the most brilliant move for business for HBO because I think they gave everybody who hated the show did a review. It got so many views on so many YouTube channels that I know, and it gave them a free advertisement. And that's how I feel is that worst show ever, best show ever for business. But I'm curious your thoughts on, I don't know which one you want to take first.
That's what I was about to ask you. Where you want to start, man? Because I got thoughts on every one of these fucking.
Let's approach it this way. Do we want to end the show in a happier place or a negative place?
Well, I think that's where we're different. Is I think I can end the show on a happy place for both. Like I might even be a little bit more against that 90s show than Velma, and it's not like I enjoyed that 90s show. I just think they look back on the 90s with these rose-colored glasses. Like I promise you, my homies back in the 90s would not have accepted the Aussie kid. The way the Asian kid comes off, there's no way that anybody I knew would just be like, oh, this kid's gay? Cool, not a problem. I knew cool-ass people that were, like, hidden in the closet. Like, I remember, like, the coolest, most popular dude in my school. Everyone was wondering, like, how come he dated, like, this this kind of like not so hot chick. Everybody wondered like, why come he's doing that? The guy's completely out now with like his husband and shit. I'm like, okay, now we fucking get even like the coolest dude with like the fucking Boy Meets World Hunter type haircut. Like, I mean, so there's just no way they look back on this shit like, oh no, we were like, no gay kid would have came out to some old woman in the 90s.
Let's talk about this too, because obviously I was born in 93, so I had 7 years in the 90s. I remember 1999 briefly, right? You know, I remember more 2002 was when memories started to really form for me. I'm more of a Britney Spears, you know, hit me baby one more time and oops, I did it again type of kid. I remember the Spice Girls and the Backstreet Boys getting wild, right? That's what I remember.
No, I'm joking. I'm so joking. That was such a joke. Like, you know what's funny, man? I was...
this is news to my girlfriend, by the way.
Hold on. Have you ever heard the Frosted Tips podcast with
Fast?
All right, so he had that. It's a total boy band podcast, right? He had that dude JC Chazé on, you know, when the NSYNCers. And back in the day, dude, I was a JC Chazé fan. He was on Mickey Mouse Club. He was hanging out with Carrie Russell, kissing her and shit. When I saw him on NSYNC, I was like, oh no, that's my boy. I got to check it out. So he was on this podcast, and I swear to God, nothing homosexual, but I've never felt more gay in my life. Like, I'm sitting there listening to this podcast, like, damn, bro. In a 90s way, you are gay, bro. In a 90s way, and I don't mean homosexual. You know what I'm saying? Like, never mind. You brought that up. My bad. So
let's actually get into this, because my view on that 90s show is that, was it as good as that 70s show? No, it can never be that way, because that 70s show really hit a stride. And even with that 70s show, they really do paint a lot of good stuff in the 70s, and they do paint it, and they stain the glass very favorably, but it was also very funny. And it was also the idea that 70s show really was good from seasons 3 to about season 6 was really good.
Yeah, but they also got 26 episodes a season to explore their characters and really get to know them. We got 10 episodes with like these 8 kids, and we're supposed to know them all. Like, I think with like these reboots and shit, like the coolest part about it is you get, 10 episodes with a cast or characters that you haven't seen for that long. We got like maybe 1.5 full episodes of the cast of characters that we were waiting for or wanted to see. And then 10 episodes of cast of characters that we have no idea who they are and just getting to know.
Yeah. I also think that versing, so I'll bring up Cobra Kai, right? Mm-hmm. I think with Cobra Kai, it's a little bit different because we're introduced to a bunch of new characters. But if you look at the Karate Kid, the driving force in the first one was Johnny and Daniel. Mm-hmm. And then Carice was a driving force. So, you don't need a lot of old school things in Cobra Kai. And also in Cobra Kai, you have Johnny, Daniel, Carice, and then Terry Silver are all driving forces in this next generation. They really, as actors, have stepped up. And that's why that show is really well done. In this 90s show, or that 90s show, we don't really know who these 6 characters are. We know who, I guess, the mom and the dad is Red and Kitty are, and that's really the old carryover with a few cameos. And I think that's part of the problem. I don't know if I lost Keenan. When I lost Keenan. So this is very dangerous. This is what happens when we talk about controversial topics. I don't know. I don't know what I should do. I could always bring this picture up. So yeah. So I'm just waiting for Keenan. Something just happened, and he's fixing his problem. And I don't really know what's going on. He went AWOL on me. This is terrible. I feel so alone and awkward. Where's Velma?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, man. For some reason, like all of a sudden, it said your microphone got unplugged, and my shit's still great. I'm not even want to talk, man. Now I'm sitting there trying to get it back. I hear like I don't know what happened to Keenan. Well, Keenan's just old and dumb. Just say that. Oh, my grandfather went down for a minute. Just give him like 20 minutes, guys. He'll be back. He'll be back at some point.
I was holding the show off perfectly fine.
Let's talk about that 1890 show. Like let's talk about like what I know about the dinosaurs and shit. All right, never mind.
Yeah, right. No. But let's actually, you brought up a really good point where they definitely sugarcoated that gay element of it. And look, I like Ozzy as a character from what we've seen of him, but it also, I mean, I didn't grow up in the 90s, so I was 7 when 2000 hit. So this wasn't on my radar. But I was definitely saying the 90s were not progressive.
No, but when you like say 2010, how progressive was being gay in 2010? It didn't be okay or become progressive until like she's lately. I feel like yeah, as you grow older, it becomes more okay and everything. That's believe me, I'm coming way off the fuck. I got banned off my TikTok live for saying something, but
No. But it's a very interesting point because nobody that I've seen that has criticized this entire show has said that. And it's a really fair point, I feel, where it's saying, wait a second, like, this isn't an accurate depiction. Like, they've definitely missed certain things where the 90s had a lot of cool stuff in it. But even like the music and the other stuff in this show, like, the 90s are known for grunge. And like, where was that in this entire show? Like, there's
kind of the flannel thing, but you got to remember it's 95 too, man. So, I mean, grunge was kind of over. Grunge came out, I believe it was like 93, 94, and it only lasted like really hard and heavy. I mean, I only rocked flannels for like the year of 6th grade, 7th grade type stuff, It didn't last that long, man. I mean, the 90s is such a, I mean, they haven't even gotten to a point of like doing like rap rock type shit, and that was more like 98, 99. But I don't know, man. I think, I think the good thing about the 70s when they did that 70s show is it seemed so far away. It seemed like a completely different world than the 90s. But like, even though it's the same distance, it does feel like the 90s were a little bit closer. I think we might have been benefited more if they went to that 80s show or something like, hey, I don't know, man.
Let me ask you this, because this is one of the things that obviously, I mean, the 90s on a collectible level are really, really hot right now because people like you and people like me, obviously I'm 30. I just turned 30 a little while ago on January 10th. So I'm 17 days into my 30th cycle around this earth. But the whole thing is that, I mean, to me, what it is that the 90s, I'm semi a 90s kid, I'm semi not a 90s kid, but right now there's all these people who now are coming into money and they're like, cool, I want some cool toys from the 90s because now I have kids. And so I think that's what they were trying to achieve is they know that by nature it's leading from that 70s show into that 90s show, but then they also know that the 90s have a lot of nostalgia. And look, not everything in the 90s sucked. There's a lot of good stuff in the 90s, but even still, like, I think that they have been given way too much latitude. Like in that 70s show, they're not going through anything bad in the 70s, but I feel like there's less latitude, if that makes any sense.
Right. And I don't know, and I asked my mom, like that's the saddest part. When I knew this show was coming out, I was thinking like, oh man, I really like that 70s show. It's pretty cool to come out of that 90s show. I was like, oh shit, wait. What did my mom think of that 70s show? Was it just completely trash? Did I like that 70s show because I knew nothing but Dazed and Confused about the 70s? And Cheech and Chong, all the movies that I saw, that was that 70s show to me, or that 70s to me. And I asked my mom, and she was like, no, I enjoyed it. It was good. They kind of portrayed the 70s like the way it was. It wasn't perfect. So I had high hopes when this came out, but I mean, again, it's just a flash in the pan. But again, it's just summertime, so I don't know. But real quick, because, like I said, dude, I don't know how much into that 70s show you were, but I mean,
I loved it. It was great.
Well, dude, if you think about it, like the kids are 15 years old. That 70s show ended on New Year's Eve, 1979. So, and it's 95 in this show. So 15 years from 1980, these kids were all born like pretty quickly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so remember Fez and Jackie were together, and in that 90s show, he says, well, I was with Jackie and I caught her talking to Kelso. They all live in the same fucking town. They never talk to each other. Like, we don't see them hanging out, like, we're not over it yet. It's been fucking 15 years, guys. And then Foreman and Donna come back and they never reach out to their friends. We never once see them like, hey guys, I'm back in town. Let's smoke a bowl. Like, I understand you might not be besties anymore, but shit.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of weird stuff where I think even the premise is off. Where I think that, obviously, I think what they wanted to do is that they wanted to make it so that these kids were like 15, maybe 16, because they wanted to capture their teenage years. And then I think Netflix was saying, if we're going to do this in the summertime for 4 seasons, they're going to be going from 15 to 19. And we could evolve and we could also show them and we could catch them, I guess, sort of starting puberty and becoming adults and potentially, exploring stuff like having sex and also figuring out if they're going to go to college and what they're exactly going to do. And I think also Netflix might have wanted to try to avoid an aging out problem.
Right.
I think that there's a lot of reasons why they did it that way. And I'm not against that, but it also raises questions saying, wait a second, like you, Fez, Jackie, and Kelso are all relatively in the same town and they've never spoken to each other in 15 years. Like, that's a little weird. And then obviously, Hyde is a complicated situation because of the trial with Danny Matheson and what he had going on with his rape case, essentially. And so you really can't have him in the first season at the moment because it's just there are other factors that play into that. But there's also
at all. But no, I get what you're saying, man. But can I also say that, I mean, they didn't even mention Danny Hyde. Hyde lived with those people for 4 years almost. You don't mention the guy that you don't even mention, like, oh, it was so sad that Hyde passed away when he did. Or I don't think they're ever going to bring Hyde in. He's canceled and done, and I don't know anything about him. But what I'm saying is, they don't even mention him. He dated Jackie. Fuck, man, he kissed Donna. And Donna and the Leah and the Kelso kid, like when Donna comes back and she hears that he might be fucking a Kelso, like you don't run and talk to Jackie and Kelso I can't even remember Kelso's name right now. It's always Kelso. That fucking confusing it. Michael. You don't go talk to Donna or Jackie and Michael and fucking talk to me like, hey, keep your son away from my daughter. She's a good girl.
Yeah, I think that there are serious problems, and I think that there are major plot issues. But I still liked it though because I like going back to the basement. I like the fact that I thought some of the jokes were funny. I thought some of it was hilarious, and I thought that there were elements, and I thought that it wasn't the greatest thing on Netflix. So right now I'm watching The Ranch. If you put The Ranch against that 90s show, it is a clear winner.
Oh yeah, The Ranch was fucking great. I mean, I was a fucking Sam Elliott. I mean, that makes the show in and of itself. I could give a shit else what happens. It's fucking Sam Elliott. Like that guy is classic.
I mean, Ashton Kutcher is a genius. He is so good, and that's obviously Kelso. For those who don't know, but Sam Elliott is great. Ashton Kutcher is great. Danny Matheson for the first 3 parts was great, I believe. And so
I didn't like him dying, I didn't, and that was when he was first getting canceled. I was like, what the fuck? They killed off Rooster? Like, he was one of the best parts, and they bring in that. I really hate when they take away a character and they bring in a new character. Like, why couldn't it just be Ashton Kutcher and Sam Elliott? Like, I get it. I get all of it, but why do we need I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But to me, The Ranch was in the same vein as that 70s show. And that 90s show, I felt also was trying to imitate it a little too much. And I think, though, that the way I view it is that I think that 90s show is the best thing for Netflix right now. I really do, which is crazy. And this is where I get controversial. I think it was an okay show, but I think that they need to do another 2 seasons. And the reason why I make this argument is right now that 70s show is licensed out to Peacock.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that's And at some point, that license is going to expire. And who is the prime client for that license? Netflix. So if you have 8 seasons of that 70s show, 200 episodes, and then you have 3 seasons of that 90s show, you now extend your library from 200 to 230 episodes. And I feel like there's going to be a natural progression just because people are going to be like, I want to see more of this after they binge watch that 70s show, that they're going to then want to go and watch that 90s show. And even if it's a piece of shit, they're still going to watch it, which means it's still going to make money years down the road. Right. And that's why they need to do 3 or 4 seasons of that show, because when they get that other license, it leads right into it.
Right. And I am excited. I want to know what happened with the rest of the cast. You know, I want to. That's one thing that is, you know, as much as I'm bitching about it, and as much as I say whatever about it, I did like the show. I did watch it in one sitting pretty much, and I do want to know. Okay, well, what's Kelso and Jackie been up to? What's the baby that Kelso had before Jackie? What's that baby been up to? The one he had with Shannon Elizabeth that moved to Chicago. What if Leah and that baby are friends? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are questions I have, and I want to know. I also want to know if Hyde might be Gwen's father, the mixed girl. And also, Gwen and her brother look very similar in age, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the brother and sister both are around 15. How the fuck does that happen, man? Was he held back a couple years? Is he 1 year ahead of him? Like, that's what I wanted explained. Like, how do you have 2 kids by different dads, but they're pretty much hanging out in the same age?
Like, and also, who are the parents? You know, is one of the parents Hyde? Is one of the parents somebody else? Like, what exactly is this? I mean, there's a lot of questions that I think that we have from the old group. And then also, I'll be very honest, I want to see what these new kids do and how much they're similar to their parents and how different they are. Because despite them, it's kind of nice to see a young Kelso. It's kind of nice to see that. It's kind of nice to see, you know, somebody who's smart and mix it up and get that, you know, mixture. And
I did the first episode. They said, you know, Kelso said, "Oh, he's got my looks and his mother's brains." I remember Jackie being that damn smart. Number one, and then number two, like, the kid came off kind of stupid the rest of the show. Like, he said it did some shit like, this kid is dumb. Like, this kid is totally gonna like ride a canoe down a hill in a Green Bay Packers helmet or some shit, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, I did like it, and I will watch season 2. I think they look at the 90s with rose-colored glasses. Like, we weren't that cool yet. Like, in 95, we still called everything gay. Oh, don't be gay. Oh, you're gay, bro. Oh, gay. Dude, don't be so gay, dude. I don't see Kelso or that other kid being that open-minded and that cool of hanging out with the Aussie kid all the time. And what would other kids in their school say? You're hanging out with that kid Ozzy. You must be gay. That's the kind of crap they would say back then. I know, because I'm from the 1890s, bro. I know this shit. I was called gay back then, damn it.
I think it's also the idea, and you know, I'm curious how you think about this too, is that Netflix can't actually give an accurate depiction of the 90s. Right. Because let's be realistic, we live in 2023 and Netflix is a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
A very, very well publicly traded company. If you bought it 4 months ago, you made a small little fortune. I may or may not have done that. But this is not financial advice. But anyway, I think that's also part of the problem, is that they cannot be as raw as they want to be. And I think that that's also the issue, because that 70s show was done, I think, what was it, 92? I want to say maybe 90s, maybe 94. And I think it ran for 8 seasons. So I think it started in 90.
It was like 95, 96. Because I was more grown up, bro. Oh, and another thing, real quick. When that 70s show came out, I had no qualms or problems with the kids smoking weed, having sex, drinking, kissing, all that shit. This time around, I was like, these kids seem a little fucking young. Like 15 years old. And believe me, I started all my shit way younger than these kids, but I'm sitting there as an old man saying, yeah, no.
But isn't that interesting, right? because when Eric and Donna started doing it, I think they were 16, 17. I think they were like 16, 17. So they're not that far off. So if these kids started at 15, it's not that bad, but we're in a different time as a society where nowadays, and I'm not a parent yet, and you are, so feel free to chime in, but I would imagine I'm getting to the age where I'm probably going to have a kid in 2, 3 years. So I am going to be watching my kid like a hawk because let's be realistic. And in the 90s, I mean, when I was growing up, my parents weren't watching me like a hawk. They were watching me enough, but they weren't monitoring what I was watching on Saturday morning cartoons. Now, I think parents are more attuned that there's some weird stuff out there, that, your kids can access a boatload of bad things on the internet. And so you have to watch your kids like a hawk. I think parents are more attuned to that things can go wrong a lot quicker and there's a lot more danger. And I think that's also part of the issue is that, in the 1970s, it was like, cool, yeah, go right ahead, jump 20 feet off the cliff. No worries. Go climb a water tower. Go fall off the water tower. No worries. And today, in the 1990s, I think there was still less, but I think that they're treating it like it's 2010, trying to be the 1990s and trying to give that vibe. And I think it's a real problem because I think there's 4 different generations conflicting.
But you don't know the 90s because, you were a little young back then. But I literally would get off I was in junior high. I did most of my bad shit in junior high. I stopped doing bad shit at the end of high school because I was like, oh, I can go to college and just keep doing the same shit I've been doing for 4 years. I can get a job, have a kid, and grow the fuck up. Because I did a lot of college shit in junior high and high school. So in junior high, I used to get out of school at like 3:45, 4 o'clock. I wouldn't make it home till 9 o'clock. Go to the one cool house, go smoke some weed, hang out with my friends for a few hours, and then just kind of roll in the door. We had no pagers, no cell phones. I mean, you basically do whatever the fuck you want, man. That's what's crazy about it, man. Like, because if they just didn't make the show accessible, like the show should be for people like me. Like, I get it, it's nostalgic for them, and maybe they should have 2 different shows. Maybe it should be like, okay, this is the well-mannered, okay for everybody, not gonna get you canceled, that 90s show. Okay, this is that 90s show for all you fuckers that really grew up, because we all would be canceled. If you could look back on my life in the 90s, every moment of my life would be canceled. I remember being in 7th grade, and like there was something, like me and my buddy saw something. This movie called Milk Money, where he brings like hooker into his like classroom and starts drawing on her like bathing suit and showing, oh, these are the fallopian tubes. This is where the sperm travels up. So me and my buddy used to, like, girls that were hanging around, we'd do like sex ed, be like, this is where the ovaries are, like not in a weird way, but girls would like be like, yeah, like it'd all be a fun thing, and they'd be laughing and it'd be jokes like, this is where the sperm travels up and shit. Today, I would be like taken out of school and like caned or some shit, man. Like, there's no way in hell that shit would be okay, man. Or I remember, like, we were going across.
That might be an extreme case. I'm just gonna let you know that's an extreme case.
We were walking across the street one time, going to like some church to like see an organ or something, and me and my buddy look up on like the church people, like, oh, what if people like start, rappelling down the side of the church and just start shooting everybody? Dude, this is before Columbine. This is before any of that shit. But I mean, years later, I was like, holy fuck, man. That was like some scary shit to be like, we're walking around talking about our classmates being murdered and shit. Like, the 90s were a different time, man. We look at it with rose-colored glasses.
The point I'm getting at, though, and then the reason why I bring this up, and I think it's very, very interesting, is that I think that what they can't take the car out into 4th gear, and they're trying to. And I think that's part of the problem is that, there's the scene where Calso goes to the other kid, not Ozzy, but the other kid. He's like, bro. And it's like, that's not typically how it would have gone down, from my understanding. It's, it would have been a lot cruder. It would have been more like, bro, why are you being so gay? No, you're being gay. Why are you being so gay? And that's how it would probably more go down. And it's not anything against the word gay, but it's the idea that we are in a different time. And the reason why Netflix can't do that is that if Netflix did it that way, there'd be so much outrage on the show that it would be a disaster.
I mean, just like, I mean, a lot of that 70s show, like, I mean, that shit would be canceled now today too. Like, I mean, most of that show, there was a lot of that show that would have gotten canceled back then. I mean, I don't know all the ins and outs. I haven't rewatched that show in forever. And I think the last time I watched it was on Netflix, like way back in the day when it was streaming on Netflix. So, I mean, I don't know. I liked it. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I mean, they're acting like Kelso and that other kid, you know, wouldn't say shit like that, you know. And another thing, like that guy Randy, you know, what if Leah is Randy's daughter and not Foreman's daughter? Because literally the last person we saw Donna with was that kid. She was with Eric for a moment on the hood of the car, but before that, she was with that kid for a year. And 15 years from that day, they're 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all very soon and quick. I don't know. And
Yeah, I think this is part of the problem, right? I think that they should have started the show in 1998, right?
Yeah.
This way, it would have given them a lot more to play with within the 90s. It would have also given them the ability to do 4, maybe 5 seasons, do 40 or 50 episodes, and then end it with 2000.
Right.
And so now you get a good chunk, because the problem also is the concept, because what? She's there for the summer?
Right.
Like, that makes no sense.
Oh, they're all such great friends, and they learn so much during the summer.
It's so problematic, the premise. It would have been almost better off if, you know, they somehow, Eric and Donna took over Red and Kitty's house, right? Or Eric and Donna, decided that to drop off Leah, there, and now Leah's going to school there, and you just have to buy that premise, and then you just bite the bullet on a really bad plot point. But now she's there in Point Place to grow up.
Oh, I just got a great idea, man. What if Red passed away and all you see is like the ghost of Red, like Red talking to Eric, like kind of like giving him the helpful hints that he needs to get along and stuff. But now Eric and Donna have moved in with Eric's mom because she's all alone. And she just lost her husband, and they're trying to pick all the pieces back up together. I think I just made a new show. I'm gonna have to let you go, bro. I mean, I just figured all this shit out. You're welcome, Netflix. Red passed away for season 2. Boom, we gotta take care of mom.
It could be good. It could be good. It could be really interesting. I mean, or better yet, maybe Red and Kitty sell the house, and then we get Eric and Donna running this show, and now they are raising their kids in Point Place, and there you go. I mean,
I don't know if Eric could be. Donna could be the Red, and Eric would be the mom, Foreman's mom. Kitty, Red and Kitty. God damn. Eric could be the Kitty, and Donna could be the Red. But see, then you got like kind of Donna being the super nice. I don't know, man. I think it's. I don't know if I think you need Red and Kitty in that 90s show just to kind of, because especially if you're not going to have the whole rest of the cast. You're not getting Eric back. Eric's got that show on ABC, Home Economics. He's got a day job. He's not coming back. I don't know what Donna's doing, but Donna might come back. I know Jackie and Kelso are busy. They got money-making ventures all over the world. So, the Fez, Handy Manny isn't paying that well anymore, so we're going to get Fez back. That's not a problem. Maybe that should be it. Maybe it should just be Fez. But then, and all we got was Donna and Fez for a moment. That was it. Donna Fez, Kitty Fez, Red and Fez. That's really what we got.
I think this is also part of the problem, too, is that sometimes what happens is that Ashton Kutcher is very busy in his life, in a lot of movie deals, a lot of television. He's coming off of 2.5 Men for 4 seasons that I think people forget. his going rate. He did The Ranch for 4 years. Like, he doesn't have a bad relationship with Netflix. The problem is that I don't know if he has time to film 10 episodes or even film 4 episodes for season 2. Not to mention he's got a lot of other shit going on. Mila Kunis is busy with Family Guy and some other stuff as well. And so,
are they gonna try to have kids? Have you heard anything about them two trying to have babies?
what do you mean? What do you mean? In real life or not?
Kunis and Kuchar.
They have 2 kids.
I don't know that shit. Like, I keep them on Kuchar and Kunis, and I didn't know that. Like, I thought they were like shit. Those would be the most beautiful babies of the world. I imagine they come into a room, like every room, like they're the Lion King's child or some shit. Like the whole room just starts, shit. All right, well, did you catch the Aussie kid wearing an Apple Watch?
I didn't even know he was wearing an Apple Watch. That's crazy.
I saw that on TikTok. And also they brought up urgent care in the 90s. We got to get you to urgent care. There was no fucking urgent care in the 90s, man. What the hell was no? You went to the emergency room. You went to the hospital. There wasn't no urgent care. What the stupid? I don't know where they brought that shit right there. Kind of took it out for me.
So before we get to Velma, because this Velma's way more fun than this, but I mean, let me ask you a question. I mean, do you disagree with my premise though that they should make another 2 seasons at the minimum from the business side? Because this is where I come in, and this is where I get controversial. I'm like, it wasn't that bad. You can enjoy this show. And the way I viewed that 90s show is I knew it was not going to be better than that 70s show. I knew it was going to be nostalgic. I knew that it was going to be somewhat entertaining, but it was also going to miss on certain grounds. But I said, look, it's still better than a lot of stuff out there.
Right.
And so I'm curious what your opinion is on that, because I hate to say this, but 90% of television right now sucks.
Well, I mean, I watched it in a day, man. So I mean, 10 episodes doesn't take you very long, and you got to think that show didn't cost them a whole lot. You don't have any real visual effects. You got like 2 or 3 sets. I mean, no studio audience. I mean, that show is probably pretty good on the budget wise. I mean, and what are they? Are they in 9th or 10th grade? I don't think they even said. I think you're gonna at least get. I think if they're going to do it right, they're going to do 4 seasons or 3 more seasons, because every summer, because you got to think you get 4 or 5 summers in your high school years. But again, I mean, it's a very stretched out premise to where, okay, so we get to hear what Leah's been up to for her entire school year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I also think that now, great, she comes back to Point Place for her summer. Let's say she's in 9th grade, right?
Right.
Comes back, and now she's 15, 9th grade, so it's her summer of her going into 10th. And it's like, cool, what happens next? And, what's changed in her life? Does she have a long-distance boyfriend? What happened to all these characters in that year? And also, though, I mean, it does give a lot of flexibility for these characters to evolve over 9 months.
And I don't like that they already started the love triangle between Kelso and the other dude and Leah. Like, I don't like really, we got to have a love triangle when they're like, she's like, no, let's keep it simple. Oh, no, but I want to make out with everybody. There's no other boys in fucking Point Place but these 2 kids.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that either. I would have rather had it be cat and mouse and her laying it down and making, Kelso work for it. I think that would have been a great premise.
Or they could have even just had like that moment where they both like, oh, wow, we both kind of care. We both kind of want the person that we are, and we are, they could have had that moment like, oh, shit. I love, you know what I'm saying? They could have had just that moment where they say it with their eyes, but they don't make out or kiss or anything. Because now we got to go through all the fucking drama and shit and like all kinds of and so like it's all gonna happen over the years. So when we come back to these people, it's gonna be awkward because she kissed the neighbor and she used to. I don't know. It's fucking awkwardness, man. All awkward. Also, I do want to say I do think Hyde is Gwen's dad. His dad was black. She's mixed. He could have mixed kids. His sister was full on black, so
Yeah, I don't really know what's gonna happen, but I think we're gonna get at least another 2 seasons, if not another 4 at that point. And you could hate it, but it's not an expensive show to produce. These people aren't being paid well. It will probably be expensive for season 5, just because at that point, all those actors are gonna want more money, and they should get it. They should get it. But also, let's be realistic. The most expensive people on this show are Red and Kitty. Are the most expensive actors on this show.
And probably little cameos with all the ex-cast, however much you got to pay Kutcher and Kunis to come up. And, I'm sure Fez doesn't get that much. I feel bad for Fez, but,
I'm sure he's getting paid decently for the episodes he was in. I'm sure he's getting paid nicely, but I'm sure that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, they're short cameos. They probably got a good chunk of money for very, very little work.
I'm almost positive that Fez and everybody else got the same amount of money, just Fez had to show up a lot more times. Because Fez is like a low man on that totem pole.
Perhaps. I don't know. But the whole thing is that I think we're going to get more of it, and I think that it's brilliant because when these rights to that 70s show come back to Netflix and they pay for them, and they'll pay $200 million for it for like 3 years, without a doubt, if not more. Netflix, it's a no-brainer because it's going to lead right into it and it's going to create an evergreen position. But I want to get controversial, and I do want to talk about Velma. So my opinion about Velma is that this thing was an abortion. It is the nicest way I could put it. And I'm not even trying to be funny when I say it, but it was bad. And it was bad for all the reasons that a show should be bad, where you change Velma's skin color. And look, I'm all for diversity. I love diversity of thought. I love diversity discussions. You made Shaggy not a pothead,
Shaggy was never a pothead, though, bro. And whatever iteration was Shaggy, he was just, he must smoke pot because he's a dumb stoner type. But we've never seen Shaggy spark up a joint. I think he's gonna be the 420 Shaggy by the time. I think this will be the first time that we see Shaggy really stoned.
Fair enough. But you have that going on, and you have just a bunch of stuff in it where everybody is stereotyped in this entire show to the T. And there was it wasn't good, is my point. It wasn't clever. It was okay at best, but there was a lot of problems. So what is your thoughts on Velma?
Well, number one, I didn't like the first scene. Made me feel extra creepy when they were in the shower and you couldn't see any of the naughty bits. And I'm thinking, oh shit, aren't they all in like high school? And then I'm looking, can you see any naughty bits? And I just feel even more creepy because I'm staring at the TV. Is that a titty? Is that nipples? What is going? So I didn't like that whole. I'm like, we're in high school, right? And there's no titties, there's no nipples, there's nothing going on. But the creepy ass old man just staring at it like, where's it at? Where's it at? I didn't like that part.
So what is that like for you? Because I was like, okay, this is interesting.
It was all right, but I was like, it just made me feel so fucking creepy because my first thought was, okay, because they start out with, oh, welcome to my high school. Then let's go to the shower scene. I don't know what it is, but I'm pretty sure there's some pedo somewhere that used that scene for a second, bro. That's just a weird fucking scene. The whole thing. And I'm sitting there staring at it like, oh, what's going on? What are you doing, man? Stop looking at this stupid shit. But that being said, I do think it's the jumping off point. I I'm a fan of Mindy Kaling. I'm a fan of Glenn Howerton. I wrote down the other two actors' name, but I know their voices. I don't know them by name. I have it written down.
Mindy. I like Mindy. I thought she was great in everything she does. It's her project and she's spearheading it. But I also feel like she's taking her position and almost painting it on the Scooby-Doo franchise. And it sounds weird when I say it that way because, again, I am all for diversity. I'm wearing a Michael Jordan shirt. So that should say it all. He's
it's
the
not
greatest.
My Scooby-Doo. I'm joking. Don't bring diversity to my Scooby-Doo.
But I feel like there was almost like you made Velma Indian. And Velma's never been Indian. Not saying Velma can't be Indian, but like I'm looking at this and I'm saying, what are we doing here? Like there gets to a point where why are you trying to change a character that's been in existence since the 1950s and versus creating a new one or creating a new property? And that's what I don't get, because that's the confusing part to me, is that I don't understand why you would take something that everybody knows and then reimagine it and then change its ethnicity, because Velma's never been Indian. You know what I mean?
Like you said, she was created in the 50s. I mean, unfortunately, we whitewashed everything. And I mean, if you were to make Scooby-Doo today without it ever being a property before, like you would probably you wouldn't make each character some lame-ass white person. You'd probably be like, okay, this can be her, this can be that, let's do that. Okay, let's bring in all the things. I get what you're saying.
I agree with you if we were to redo it. The problem is that something becomes a legacy, right? So I have never ever thought of Velma or any of these characters as black or any other ethnicity, because they've been in existence for 70 years.
Right.
There gets to a point where a character is so ingrained that you cannot change them, right, because that is the brand. First thing, and it's nothing against making something ethnicity. If you introduced a new sixth member of the Mystery Gang and the Mystery Machine team, that's different, because you're adding a new element. You're adding a new cog to it. Right. But if something's been in existence for 70 years, I don't know if you can really change that brand. And that's where I think this is the problem. Is I think a lot of people are saying, look, this has been a brand that's been around for so long that you now have completely reimagined the brand out of nowhere. And I mean, people feel like, what the fuck? And they're confused.
Were you that big of a Scooby fan? Like, before this show came out, were you thinking, oh man, I hope they come up with a new Scooby-Doo? Oh man, we need Scooby-Doo.
I've read some Scooby-Doo comics and I enjoy it. I think
I'm saying right now today, I understand you enjoy it, but I'm saying like the property as it was beforehand, like were you like I don't care about the mystery team. Before Mindy Kaling did this as like a comedy and made it kind of funny and did all the changes to it, like I couldn't have given a fuck. I even watched the I think the HBO Max did a live action Velma and Daphne show. They only introduced Fred. They didn't introduce Shaggy or the dog or Scooby yet. And I think I watched that, and that was real crap. And that was like the generic characters, like as they were. I mean, I'm not against. I think they're doing good shit. I mean, I don't see any issue with Velma being a different race or Daphne or Shaggy or anything. And then Shaggy, like, if anybody's gonna be a cool ass black dude, it could be Shaggy. And I think once Shaggy hits that weed, he's going to be the coolest black dude ever. And I'm pretty sure it's going to lead to Shaggy smoking weed. I'm pretty sure the last episode's going to be Shaggy, because he does that weird food YouTube shit, and all the stoners dig on it. So he's going to smoke that weed, and he's going to be like, oh, man, let's do that.
I guess that's my first issue. And then where I go further into it is that I say, fine, because I like diversity. But I also feel like they're trying to check off boxes. I don't feel like the diversity is there to make a new, more accurate Scooby-Doo. Because I agree, and I'll concede ground, that if we were to rebuild this, there would be a bunch of different people in this.
Right.
And so, I mean, I will concede that ground. But I also think that diversity in this show is there to check off a box versus it's for story. And that's the problem. I don't know if Velma's ethnicity and even Shaggy being black is there for Shaggy being black and it's for story, and Velma for introducing her Indian heritage in there. I don't know if that was to check off a box or for story, because I don't feel like there was any major story or them solving anything or them having anything. Like, it'd be different if you had Scooby-Doo and the key to the, episode was that it was something in, Indian folklore helped them solve a mystery. That to me would make sense and actually get past the diversity and make it incorporated in the story. And that's my issue.
Did you watch the last episode?
I'm only halfway through.
Well, this last episode, they actually she finds Jinkies, the word Jinkies written down in her mom's handwriting. And then there was a project called Scooby, Scoobi, and she literally and Velma says, well, "What does Scooby do?" Which I found pretty fucking funny for that second. And then what else? Something else I found pretty fucking something they kept using the thing. We did this. There was her mom was involved in some test that they wanted to get all these meddling kids together. They said it like 3 or 4 times. So I kind of like that. I can see where it's like trying to bring everything together and trying to bring it back to, because they're having to go into the fucking theme park and chase after her parents. And did you see her parents were wearing that, what was the caveman from Hanna-Barbera that used to smack shit on the ground?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about, but
he makes a cameo in this last episode too. Like her parents, when Daphne walks up on her parents, they're wearing that costume. She's like, "Why are you wearing this hairy ass costume?" He's like, "Oh, we just got to hide." So I mean, I think it's got some good shit. I'm excited to see what they do. I'm not gonna make my final decision because I've heard all the stuff, like people calling her or Mindy Kaling. I'm gonna fuck up her name, but her calling people racist for not liking her shit. And I don't mind. I think the diversity is good. I think I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of how to say it, but I don't think Velma being Indian takes away at all. I don't think Daphne being Asian takes away from it at all. I think Fred being the white on white Kenneth type character, I think that doesn't take anything away from it at all. I think Shaggy being kind of the loser, and then I think he's gonna fall into I think by the end of this season, we're gonna see him fall into the cool ass way that Shaggy. And we're gonna see him find Scooby.
So, I mean, do you feel because what I feel is I feel a lot of it's forced. I feel like they're almost trying to create a prequel of them forming, the Mystery Machine team, essentially.
Exactly.
And I think that's also part of the issue is that it's not organic. And I think that obviously they've taken a diversity. They're trying to, I guess, make it 2023 Scooby Doo, and part of the problem with doing that is that Scooby-Doo is almost 70 years old. So when Scooby-Doo was first created, especially like some of the older cartoons, you could tell that the word Jinkies or whatever it is she says, in my mind, it was not a modern word. And I feel like they're trying to modernize something that is not modernized. And for even forgetting the diversity, and you're trying to create a prequel that then goes into it. And I think that's where also it gets weird because you're trying to bring something to 2023, make it a little bit more politically correct.
Right.
You're trying to make it progressive on something that is in a different culture and words didn't exist. And even the decorum of Scooby-Doo is very different. It's a lot, politer is a good word to use. Like the original Scooby-Doo stuff is very polite on how they're dealing with it and how those characters conduct themselves. Look at the attire of Velma, Daphne, Fred. Shaggy is a little bit different where he's more loose, but Fred's wearing like a collared shirt and Daphne's wearing a proper dress and Velma's in a sweater dress essentially.
Yeah.
It's very proper how they're dressed, and it's but that's where like it loses me is that you're now trying to keep that 1950s with 2023 dressing on it.
Right. No, I agree. And I wasn't a fan of Daphne and Velma kissing. They make it seem like at least the way I was brought up and the way that I learned about how people feel about other people is it's not really a choice. You like who you like. If you're gay and you like dudes, you like dudes. The way that I look at women, you look at men. Not you. But I'm saying if you're homosexual, you look at men that way.
There are very few men who make me feel special inside.
Hopefully I do. But what I'm saying is, like, they make it seem like it's just a choice. Like, all of a sudden, Velma and Daphne were kissing, but then, like, the next moment, like, it didn't really matter. Like, I just don't. It just seems very nonchalant, and I thought that's what, as a whole, we were trying to get away from. It's not so nonchalant. Like, maybe it can be. Maybe you can do whatever you want. It's all good. You can kiss this. You can kiss that. No problem.
But let's even talk about that too, because this is also where it gets tricky, right? Is that so? I'm a big fan of Harley Quinn, the animated series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think I watched the entire series. Yeah,
I love it. I think it's brilliant. But would you say that is a show for a 7-year-old, or do you think it's a show for an 18-year-old?
oh, it's an adult show. Like, that's not a
Right.
show.
So when Harley's doing something, and if Harley's making out with 14 different girls in an episode, that's an adult show. It's Harley Quinn, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is Scooby-Doo's age supposed to be with this HBO show? And that's where it gets tricky, right? Because if you have her nonchalantly kissing Daphne and it's meant for an adult, that's fine, because as an adult can understand that, hey, look, maybe this is just like a random hookup and that's the end of it, and they realize that they had a fun time kissing, they enjoyed the moment, but now it doesn't matter. But if it's for a 9-year-old, might be like, this is weird.
Well, it's definitely an adult show. Like, it was definitely a show made for adults. It's like a Family Guy type of animation. It wasn't made for kids at all. Like, if you catch your kids watching Velma, you better do some shit about it. If you let your kids watch Velma, you probably aren't the best parent ever. Like, that's not a show. I mean, within the first 5 seconds,
you get where I'm going with this, right?
And I think that's where the disconnect is that this isn't the same Scooby-Doo. Like, this isn't the Scooby-Doo that, we saw in live action with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. This isn't the same.
This is where it gets tricky, right? And sorry to cut you off, but Scooby-Doo has built a brand of being child-friendly. And now you have a not child-friendly show. And that's why this is so weird. Because I'm like, it's not, again, the worst thing in the world. I don't think it's a particularly good show. And I have questions for Warner Brothers Discovery saying, your brand for Scooby-Doo, where I always thought when I had a kid, I can just build and trust the name Scooby-Doo or Velma, right? I feel like I can trust Pokemon, right? As a brand that it's going to be relatively safe for my child.
Right.
And now it's like, is this safe? That 70s show, if I caught my 12-year-old watching that 70s show, I would not be alarmed. Maybe 14 if I'm feeling a little stricter, but I would not be alarmed. But if I caught my 6-year-old watching it, or even that 90s show, I'd be alarmed a little bit. And so that's where I think this is also complicated. And it's kind of like we have an adult show that was built on the brand for children.
But I don't really think, I mean, again, I have kids. My kids never seen Scooby-Doo at all. My daughter used to watch Scooby-Doo. I have a daughter that we had in like 2002. And this is before all the smarter shit came out. So we used to get her Scooby-Doo, SpongeBob, go to the Blockbuster, rent some shit, whatever comes out, because shit wasn't that great yet. But nowadays, my son is super smart because he watches YouTube Kids, and it's nothing but good fucking TV nonstop. My kid is way smarter than I am today. Like, I'm serious. It's not about the amount of.
Hey, don't say that.
I promise you that. Dude, he can count. He thinks of shit that I barely think of now. I'm telling you this for sure. It's not about how much TV you watch. It's about the amount of crap TV you watch. And what we watched was crap. Even though Scooby-Doo was kind of a kid's brand, but it was crap. It was crap. You know what I mean? It wasn't like something that's going to tell, oh no, these meddling kids are going to go find a ghost and see this and see that. You didn't learn a fucking thing. It was just to shut your kids up for 30 seconds. You know what I mean? Or 30 minutes. So I think that just like that 70s show or that 90s show, this Velma is reaching out for people that, like, people like me that are adults and remember Velma and remember Scooby and remember all this shit. And, I don't really, I mean, I don't know. It's 2023. And I mean, what's it really changed Scooby-Doo universe if Daphne's Asian, if, not Asian, Chinese. If Velma's Indian, which is also Asian, which is very fucking confusing to us old white people. Asian, like I was just about. If Daphne Asian and Velma's Asian, okay, they're both Asian. Yeah, we get it. Anyways, what I'm saying is I don't think it really changes too much. And like you, I just think it's all gonna happen. I think we're in the, like you said, it's a prequel. They're building the entire universe from scratch.
So
they've never really solved mysteries together. Daphne and Velma kind of solve mysteries sometimes, and Shaggy or Norville and Velma solve mysteries kind of sometimes. Fred had nothing to do with it really. I just see them building it, and Fred's a dumbass. Let's just get out. He's a fucking dumbass. That's going to be Fred's place. Shaggy is no longer going to be the dumbass of the group. It's going to be fucking dumbass Fred, which really in this day and age, what can you make fun of? Dumbass white people. So I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. That's cool. But I think they're going to build them. I think people will be much happier with second season.
Let me ask you this, because I think that obviously I've seen the right's reception to it. I've seen normal people's reaction to it. The right's reaction to it. I've seen the left's reaction to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that all three have fair points. Where I think that there are some concerns with it. I think I've brought up some of them. Mm-hmm. I also think, though, that, it's not necessarily bad acting. I just think that it's a weird show. And I think it's weird because you took a concept that was a children's concept and you elevated it into adulthood very quickly.
And you're taking the position that millions of people are taking. Like, you remember Scooby-Doo being what it was, and that's complete respect. You know what I mean? Like,
I remember a Scooby-Doo named Scooby-Doo, which was them as kids solving mysteries.
Yeah.
So I remember that on a snow day. So I'm taking this, and I'm not saying that it should stop, but I also think that there are issues because I'm confused by it. And I'm not saying I'm anti that. I mean, if it's making money, I'm a shareholder of Warner Brothers Discovery. Don't think that I don't appreciate what they're trying to do and reinventing. But I'm also saying, maybe I'm not getting it. I mean, look, my friend draws a picture of Daphne coming up behind Velma and untying her bikini. Right. And I made the joke while I was interviewing. I said, we all know what this picture is about, man. And he drew it while I'm critiquing his picture. I'm saying, Daphne wanted to cup a feel, and there was no better time than to do it at the beach. And I went on a 10-minute rant on my show. He just started smiling and laughing because it was a very funny moment. The point I'm getting at with this is that I appreciate a Daphne Velma hookup. I think it's funny. I think it's long overdue because every guy who's watched Scooby-Doo has wanted to see it. But at the same time, I don't know. But I digress. I don't know where I was going with this point.
Well, I mean, I could see, and my only problem with it, I have no problem with Daphne and Velma. Like, if down the road they got together or whatever, I have no fucking problem with that. My problem is, she has a huge crush on Fred, Velma does, and Daphne's dating Fred, but then Velma and Daphne were best friends, and they're sitting there talking, and then all of a sudden it's time to kiss. It
doesn't add up story-wise.
Yeah, it's just like if me and you were hanging out, we've been buddies for years, all of a sudden, we were drunk around, all of a sudden we made out. That show's shameless. These two guys that's been sitting down the bar next to each other for fucking years, all of a sudden they get stoned one night and have sex? What the fuck kind of weed is that? What's going on there, man? That's taken away. Okay, so it's just a choice. It's no big deal if you have sex. You know what I'm saying? It's saying that your feelings aren't valid and that who you like isn't valid. You know what I'm saying? If a man was homosexual and then, I've never seen a homosexual dude just that was fully homosexual accidentally have sex with a woman. Screw it. I haven't had a guy in a while, so I'm going to have sex with this girl. Screw it. I'm almost positive they still consider, even anal sex with women gross. I'm not for sure. But I'm just saying. They're like, oh, let's make everything easy and let's make everything a choice. And that's just not what it is.
Do you think that they're trying to hit a bunch of things like hookup culture and they're trying to touch upon stuff like that? Or do you even think that they're maybe even trying to get shock culture in there somehow?
Well, I mean, they're definitely getting shock culture. I mean, like I said, the first fucking scene, man, that's shocking right there. They're in high school and everyone's naked, and we're staring at all these girls wrestling around and tumbling around naked for like a good chunk of 5 minutes, and a naked girl falls out of the thing with her head cut off. Like that is shock value. That's where they're going for. The whole thing is shock value, the entire thing. So I mean, and that's kind of Mindy's funny, and Mindy's comedy is kind of shocking. Like she's worked with. That's why the guy Glenn Howerton from Always Sunny in Philadelphia plays Fred. You know, she's worked with those dudes for a while. You know, in and out, like they're friends. So I mean, I kind of like it. I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to see what happens with Shaggy. I can't wait. I'm telling you, it's gonna be like gonna be like Popeye eating his spinach. Shaggy's gonna take a drag off some weed, and all of a sudden be like, "Ooh, Shaggy! Ooh, where's Scooby?" You know, I mean, you're gonna hear the fucking Shaggy ASAP. I mean, it's almost gonna be like one hit of weed, like da 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 da. So I'm excited to see where they go with this. I understand everyone's hate and everyone's not really hate, but just everyone's like disgruntled about it. But I can tell you this, as a parent. No kid has watched any Scooby-Doo for like 10 years, bro. I can promise you that. I've had shit. My sons, they're fucking 15 now, but shit, they've never watched a Scooby-Doo episode. I could go in there and ask them right now who the hell Scooby-Doo is. Oh, I did. I asked them, I was like, "Hey, dude, y'all watch that show Velma?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Good, don't fucking watch it." Because I was talking about that first scene. I just walked out and I was like, "Yeah, y'all watch that show Velma?" I'm like, "No." Or I asked my daughter too. I was like, "You watch that show Velma on HBO Max at all?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Good, don't fucking watch it. And if you do, don't talk to me about it at all. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know."
So to even get outside of the show itself, to actually talk about the business side. So I am very torn on it because it's interesting and it's not a waste of time for me to watch it, but I'm not necessarily a fan of it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it's my cup of tea. There's a million things I could watch that I enjoy way more, like
Right.
watching The Ranch or watching That 70s Show or watching The Office. There's just more things, or watching some stuff like Rooster Teeth does, which is Genlock or Ruby.
Right.
That's more my jam anyway. But I have seen, and this is what I don't understand, is all the people who hate it, all they do is they make a YouTube video and then they get 20,000 views on their YouTube video when they have 300 subs on YouTube. Nobody is subscribing to their channel. The only reason why it's getting any views is because people want to know why you hate it, because it's topical and they want an echo chamber, and they labeled it and they tagged it appropriately. They got a great thumbnail. Doesn't change anything on their YouTube channel except gets them a 20,000 view YouTube video that will slowly get them maybe like 10 views a day for the next 5 years, which is not a bad thing. If you have advertising on it, you make a little bit of money on it. But this is why I think we're going to get a second and third season, is that's the biggest free advertising. And if you really hate it so much, wouldn't you want to shut the fuck up about it and say, this sucks and we're all going to be quiet so that we don't get another season of this and it dies? Because this is the problem that happened with Halo. Halo was a disaster of a Paramount project.
Wait, real quick. Is this your first day on YouTube?
Whoa, what are you talking about?
Well, because you must not get fucking. I mean, literally, like you're like, well, just shut up and let it go. That isn't what YouTube is fucking built for. Nobody's gonna shut up about a damn thing, man.
The point is that I'm getting at this is that if you hate something so much, then why the hell would you want to give it free advertising so that it gets it a second, third, and fourth season so you could hate it more and you want it to die? It's so counterproductive.
Hold on,
It's so stupid. Like there's like I don't have a word for it. Like it's regression. It's just like this is the problem.
I literally just said to you what I say to almost all of my commenters, because when I post shit from SNL in the 90s, 90% of the comments I get back is when SNL was funny. So then I start titling my videos, when SNL was funny. And now, like, I mean, the views are fucking insurmountable, and it's all like, ha, boomers, blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, you know what? Or then I put corn on one of my videos, And it blew the fuck up. So then I put it on another video, and it's blowing the fuck up because everybody hates corn. Everybody's bitching at me about corn. I'm like, guys, when y'all stop bitching and stop watching this shit, then I'll take it off. But I mean, that's what YouTube was built for, is for people to fucking bitch. And that's all they want to do. They want to bitch about Velma and That 90's show. And that's why, I mean, you don't ever hear anybody, and nobody, you don't ever want to click on something like, oh, I want to know what they thought was great about this. That's not really, I mean, you want to hear about Easter eggs, you want to hear about secrets, you want to hear about all this shit. Nothing's ever like, let me tell you what I really enjoyed about this. Nobody gives a shit about it.
The best YouTube video I ever did was shot so shitty. It was, what is an OVA? Question mark. It was an answer to a question. That's all it was. And it has like 40,000 views.
Yeah.
But what I've also learned is that what happens sometimes is that there gets to a point where people want to see all that shit and then they say, wait a second, how do I go and build the business? How do I go and make real money? How do I go from taking $1,000 and turn it into a $30,000 business?
Right.
Then those people really want to find that shit. And so what I found out is that, and what I'm doing right now is that I'm doing a lot of micro content, and I'm making sure that my micro content's titles is very SEO oriented, because I realized that the interview shit that I do, and this pertains to exactly what you were saying, is those my interviews don't do well on YouTube, because I think what it is that there's so much dirt and garbage that people want the quick fix until they wake up and say, what the fuck? How do I make my life better? And how do I
you got to pick out the catchwords, like the shit that we're doing right now, you know, and be like, you know, Velma, That 90's show, you know, what we hate about Velma and That 90's show, what we all hate about, you know, those catchwords, those shit that people are like, oh my gosh, I want to know what I hate it too. Even though, you know, there's good shit, nobody wants to hear any of your good shit, you know, they don't want to hear me and you talking about, hey man, I'm really happy with everything you're doing, man. You're doing great stuff over there. I really like everything you got going on. All your videos are pristine and clean. Your titles are great. Everything is typed up real nice. I literally had some asshole say, if you put more passion and thought into your projects, motherfucker, passion and thought, that's literally all I got going on over here, motherfucker. That's all I got is passion and thought. I got no money into it. I got nothing else. It's just passion and thought. That's all I have going. Like, well, if you just put some more passion, it's because I misspelled something or something. I don't, like, I have this thing in my brain where, like, if it just says AR and, like, it's supposed to say ARE or in the form of the word, you know, in the sentence, I'll just read it as R instead of it being misspelled. So, like, I'll type shit and I'll reread it all out and it all looks like correct to me because the images is popping in my head. Like, if it's supposed to be there in my head, I'll read it that it's there. And so I get all kinds of shit like hooked on fine. Yeah, guys, thanks. Yeah, I know. I know. But at the same time, all y'all's fucking hate is just helping me out. Like, why do you think I do this dumb shit? Why do you think I look like, if you saw, like, you would click on my video just because, like, what the fuck is going on with that dude right there? Whose grandfather let this mother, who let their grandfather on YouTube?
See, I stopped caring, and it's amazing because the beautiful thing is that if people actually sat and watched a bunch of my YouTube videos, they would get richer. It's insane. But nobody watches it. I'm like, cool. There's more for me then. There's more for me. My financial battle plan has legitimately been outlined extensively over the last 2 years. And if everybody actually shut up and listened to me, they would have made money. But nobody listens to me. And I'm like, wonderful. There was one person who listened to me, and then he said, dude, I really appreciate what you were saying. And I just think that everybody's looking at the hate. And you know what is? There's a reason why I'm in business, and I'm making a fuck ton of money.
Do you post shorts?
What?
Do you post shorts on YouTube?
I don't right now. I don't. I post micro content that's usually 3 minutes. It's just I don't have the time to do shorts. I cut up an interview and I just SEO tag the shit out of it.
Right.
And it's a long haul for me, but this is not my main business.
No, I understand. I know that, dude. I get that. All I was saying is that at least with like the shit you do, like if you made like a shorts are like, you know, can be 1 minute long. If you just went on there and gave like one piece of information, like solely like once a day, dude, that shit, you know, because your content and what you say is informative and real, and you can title that and like.
There's a secondary YouTube channel with my monetary stuff that I'm slowly building out that the shorts would be more relevant on than an interview channel, just because on an interview channel, it's a lot harder to do, I feel, shorts. But on financial advice, it's a hell of a lot easier to do it.
Right, because dude, you could literally just put like little fucking short that says like in big orange letters right across the bottom at all times, how to make money on YouTube or how to make money. And then just say the shit that you say. You know what I mean, dude?
I'm not worrying about it. Honestly, my whole thing is that I have Talking Money with Andrew Davis, and that show's coming soon, guys. You heard it here first. And I don't want to mix my entertainment brand with my money brand.
Well, exactly. No, I agree with that. I agree with that completely, dude. I wasn't talking about like on this shit.
This I enjoy as a hobby, first and foremost. Like, I enjoy interviewing my heroes because it's a lot of fun, and I make a little bit of money that sustains it. I really do not want to take it beyond that. My eBay business, my stock investing business, my bond businesses, my crypto investing, all that stuff is real. And then me teaching financial advice and providing that way better for shorts, because that shit is what people want to know, is how to get out of the rat race from 9 to 5.
Yeah, dude, people build whole fucking YouTube channels off that shit. What that guy, Robert Benjamin or Stove Fredrickson on fucking TikTok? You can beat those motherfuckers out, no problem, man.
So, but I digress. That's a far cry from this, but I just love it. I love all these people who get like 20,000 views, and it doesn't change anything in their YouTube channel. And it's just like, people look at this, they're paying a little bit of attention, but I'm like, you're getting this as season 2, season 3, season 4, and it's like, but you hate this show. Why? Like,
even Mindy calling everyone racist on, what was it, Seth Meyers or some shit? Like, that got them a whole shit ton more views. Like, I can't tell you how many angry fucking white people were like, well, I gotta see this fucking Velma show now. She's gonna call us racist if we don't like it. I gotta see it.
I mean, I could tell you SNL gave the Daily Wire a huge free publicity play. They said, oh, the Daily Wire is going to give $100 million to educational content. They said Clifford the Straight Red Dog.
Yeah.
They said 1 fish, 2 fish, that's how many fish genders there are. That was hilarious by Colin Jones. That was funny. That was SNL being really funny. And the Daily Wire was like, you guys really told some good jokes on us, but guess what? You just gave us a bunch of free advertisements. It wasn't a dig at the Daily Wire, those jokes at all. They thought it was. The point I'm making is that I just think it's so ridiculous. I think this is so cultured. Like, it's such a culture war issue. And it's a little ridiculous. And I'm like, if you really want to kill this show, the way you kill this show is unsubscribe to HBO Max and don't talk about it. And this show will die by the wayside. But I don't know if these people want this show to die. Or I don't know if they're intelligent enough to know how things actually work.
Well, I mean, this day and age, man, and like you said, man, I catch myself watching shit just because, like, it's on and I'm chilling at home the next day. You know, like, I watch everything on Hulu, like, the day after. Like, all my live shows and all the shit I want to see on regular TV, I'll check it out the day after because I'm not trying to watch that shit. But a lot of times, like, this new show, not really new show, but Call Me Cat with the Blossom girl in it and shit. Like,
yeah, from Big Bang, right?
What's up?
The girl from Big Bang, right?
Yeah, the girl from Big Bang. Yeah, there you go. You know, I only watch it because it like pops up on my Hulu every day or every Friday. I was like, well, I got nothing else going on this Friday, and I don't like the show. The show's stupid, and I literally catch myself like watching it. Like, and the few times I laugh at a joke, I'm like, man, I feel dumber now that I laughed at that shit. But it had that guy, Leslie Jones, that just passed away on it. Had a couple of good things, but I really didn't like the show. But because there's nothing really else going on Friday mornings, so let's watch Call Me Cat. Okay.
I mean, I'm a little bit different. So, I do these online surveys, right? That you click a button, you read like 3 or 4 pages or something, you get maybe 5 cents for this, 5 cents for that. You know, it adds up after a while. If you're doing like $2 a day, you know, it takes maybe 2 hours. I do $2 a day, right? And so all of a sudden I have $60 at the end of the month. Maybe I have $70, $80, depending on how well I did. You know, sometimes you get more money, sometimes you get less. But what it is that I'll watch something on Peacock.
Right.
So I'll watch them like The Office or That 70s Show or Law and Order. Am I getting smarter for that? Or I'll watch, Velma on HBO, or I'll watch Game of Thrones or something. And because I have to occupy my time, and it's background noise to me while I'm doing something else.
Right.
And so, all of a sudden, I'm a big Law and Order guy, and I don't watch it on Thursday nights. I have a life on Thursday night. I would like to go to bed early. I would like to watch something else like wrestling. But I'll watch it Friday evening while I'm doing these surveys, and it makes the time go faster.
Right.
And so I think that's the thing for me. So I think also that's the other thing that I think people don't understand either, is that HBO owns this show.
Yeah.
Much like Netflix owns that 90s show. So does it really matter if it does well, or does it do well over time? Because let's be realistic, Velma has made HBO Max money, and it's on their library permanently. It's not coming down.
HBO Max, I think since they've been out, they put out that movie Scoob. They put out that live action one that I told you about, that Daphne Velma thing, live action, like high school type show. And then they did this show. So they've tried 3 different times to get Scooby-Doo started.
But it doesn't matter if it's a piece of shit if they own it, right? And it's in the library for permanent. Same thing with that 90s show, right? Does it really matter if it's average, good, excellent, or shitty if they own it? Because I own, you do a show and I do a show, right? I own all my content, right? So let's say I have a really bad interview. I still own that content. So it doesn't matter if it only does 10 views, right? I own that piece of content for life. My guest does not have a stake in that content. And if they think they do, they're mistaken, because it's my platform. And I'm willing to litigate over that because I understand the value of owning a piece of content. Same thing when I'm on somebody else's show. I don't have a claim to that content. I have a claim saying, hey, could I take a clip out of it and play it on my show? That's a little different. I think I have a right to say, look, I hope you don't mind, but I would like to play a clip from our show on my show, and I hope you would forego the strike on YouTube, right? That's a little different, though. Right. But even still, I understand ownership. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people who are bitching don't understand, because I don't think they understand business, where ownership is so fucking important. Because if Velma only gets 2 seasons, HBO now has, how many episodes are in a season? Is it like 10 or is it 12?
10. I think it's 10 episodes of I think that's the go-to number now, is 10 episodes.
But you get where I'm going with this, right? Yeah. Because they own that. And even if it's bad, it's still in their library. It's on for viewership. And what happens is somebody's one night, everybody, let's say half of America's drunk, right? And they have HBO Max. And they watch the disastrous Scoob movie, right? It's still making HBO Max money.
Yeah.
And if they own it for the next 50 years, that movie, if you actually average the yearly cost and viewership cost of it, it's probably pennies on the dollar.
Right. No, I agree, and I think this is, the first 2 properties that HBO Max put out on Scooby were both younger, kid properties. None of those worked, so this is, the next time, like, all right, let's give it more of an adult feel. Let's see what happens. So I think they're probably, they're pretty much just throwing shit up against the wall and seeing what sticks. And I think, like you said, no matter what, this has been more on the forefront of everybody's mind than anything else. There weren't a million people talking about that Scoob movie. And when they brought in extra characters and they brought in like every Hanna-Barbera character, nobody gave a shit about that movie. I bet you nobody even watching this stuff ever watched that live action shit I brought up. I only watched it because, again, I saw it pop on my HBO Max. I was like, well, I got nothing better to do. I think it came on during the summer or some shit, too. There was literally nothing on. I'm like, fuck it, let's see what this is about. And Shaggy never showed up. I think Fred showed up once, like in a halfway. I was like, okay, and then never again. So, I don't know. And like I said, I think where we differ on is I'm just excited to see what they do with it. I like comedy. I like animation. This is kind of a Rick and Morty, Family Guy type of version of the Scooby-Doo shit, So I'm excited to see where they take it. Well, I don't know about excited, but I'm willing to see where they take it. I've already paid for HBO Max, man.
I think I love using this phrase. I'm a wrestling fan. It was Triple H and Stephanie used it really well. Good for business. And I think it's good for business. I really do. I think that 90s show is good for business. I think Velma's good for business because it got people talking about hate. Every time somebody has said I was wrong, every time somebody has hated me and has spoken about me in a hateful way, it has benefited my business.
Oh, yeah.
It has benefited multiple businesses because guess what? Hate travels further than love. I hate to say that. It sounds messed up. I mean, to a degree. If you love your kid and your kid is halfway across the world, you will find a way how to get to your kid. There's nothing that will trump that. But when you're shitting on somebody, it gets more attention on the internet than anything else.
Yeah, I don't think the kid thing comes. I think the hate and you're talking about is a lot different than hate and love between kids and families and shit.
What I mean is that
the hate. I get what you're saying. The hate that you get, they get you a lot more views. You know what I mean? Like the hate that you get, that people get, or even, I bet you that Mindy even talked about it before she went on that show and said, "Oh, everybody's a racist. They're racist. They don't like my show." You realize how like fucking viral that made? She probably didn't mean it. She probably didn't think, "Oh, if you don't like my TV shows, then you're a racist." That got her some fucking views though.
She probably also has to walk it back a little bit. I think she had to walk it back a little bit too, where it's she clearly meant it in a certain way and it got away from her, but it benefited the show.
Yeah, and the damage is already done.
I'll give a great example of this. I was speaking with this first episode, because this is the 4th episode. We were speaking of AI art, and boy, did people get pissed at me talking about that shit. And people are still angry because I said I'm pro AI art. And a lot of artists got angry at me. And I said, why are you scared of this? Let's talk about it. Nobody wanted to show the fuck up to talk about it. And my response to all them is saying, when you want to be a big boy and enter the arena, you can come talk to me because I'm a pretty simple guy to talk to. We've had a great conversation, right?
Yeah.
You don't think I've been adversarial, right?
No, I don't think so.
I said on my podcast on Wednesday, I said, at any point, please tell me to shut the fuck up. Feel free to. So, and I'm a reasonable person to have discussions with.
Right.
And one person showed up and we had an amazing discussion. But all these artists, all they do is they bitch about it. I'm like, great, let's step into the arena. Let's talk about it. What is the thing that bothers you? But then I did the 3rd episode, because I did the 2nd episode by myself. On the 3rd episode was how do we deal with bad actors in Kickstarter? No hate whatsoever.
Right.
I personally don't want to do an episode like that. I want to talk about things that are controversial because I don't get to talk about that. This is a treat for me when I get to talk about controversial issues with people that I want to talk with. I don't want to talk to everybody in comics or who are my friends who have relationships. I want to talk to people that I want to talk to about these issues. Because to be quite honest, it's fun and I think it's beneficial. You like the show Velma. I'm torn on it and I kind of, I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I think it's interesting to talk to somebody who has a different opinion than me.
Right. I wouldn't say like yet, but I'm open. I'm intrigued to see where they take it. I'm not a like fan yet. Like I do see where you're talking about, and I see. I mean, I'm telling you, that first fucking scene threw me the fuck off, man. Like that threw me the fuck off. But
it was weird. It was weird. This is how weird it was, right? I'm a big crime reader. One of my favorite crimes to learn about, I'm still learning about it, is the Black Dahlia in LA. I don't know how familiar you are with that.
I know it's what was her name? I know she it was an actress in LA that was murdered. Was that the one that they took out to a boat that they think like Christopher Walken had something to do with?
Yeah, what'd you say?
Was that the one that they took out to a boat and like
no. The Black Dahlia is crazy. So I don't even know if she was an actress, but what it was is that so in the middle of a street, you have a woman who was cut in half, right?
Mhm.
Her legs were put right beside her. She was cut in half. She was stood up in the middle of the street, and as people were passing by, they thought it was just garbage. And I think that they cut her mouth with like almost a Glasgow smile. Creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
And so she was known as the Black Dahlia because it was this weird thing that it's never happened before, and it is one of the most fascinating LA crimes of all time, and it is a world famous crime. People all over the world know it. When if you say Black Dahlia in any language, they will know what you're speaking to. It's like a Jack and Coke. A Jack and Coke and the Black Dahlia are there are very few things that transcend language
Right.
in the world. That I'm still learning stuff about.
Right.
The point is that I find that, I guess, when we view things and talk about things, it's just interesting. But I don't even know what my point was. I totally lost the trend of my thought.
No, I think your drink's getting on there. Oh, man, I hear my son yelling for me, dude. I got to go, man. I apologize, Andrew.
Well, before you do, we're going to wrap up pretty much right now. But I do want to give everybody a opportunity. Where could they find you? Where they could bother you? All that fun stuff, because we've had an amazing conversation. Talking
Bob's
about
product on YouTube. Just look up Bob's product on YouTube. That's probably the easiest way to get it across. How to find. Oh, you hear that bumping coming by my building real quick? Jamming out. Anyways, but yeah, Bob's product on YouTube. That's where I'm at most of the time. Everything else is kind of a pain in the ass. I don't have it like linked up anywhere at the moment. So Bob's product on YouTube. Damn it. And guess what? My name's not Bob, which I get like people call me Bob all the time. Like, yeah, I'm just Bob's product. I'm not Bob, bitches.
well, there you go. You should probably go check him out. He's got a bunch of fun stuff, and I'm sure you will be entertained. And I'm sure from there you can access everything else. As far as I'm concerned, you can find me at Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere that's Pop Anime Comics is mine. I also have Pop Anime Comics collectibles on eBay. A lot of fun stuff there. A lot of cool merch. Some really rare merch is up there right now. So definitely if you're into some weird comic stuff and expensive books that tend to go for good amounts of money, that's where you should check me out. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I enjoy talking about controversial topics in a lot of ways. And that, everybody, is a wrap.
Yep.